this video, we're going to discuss my over-the-road experience with Pride Transport and what you can expect if you decide to go work for Pride Transport, and also my experience with my interesting dispatcher. So stick around, get to know a little bit of my personal experience. This way you have a better idea of what you want to do if you ever decide to work for them. I think one of the first things that we look at as truck drivers is, can the company give us the mileage that we want? And if they can they do it consistently? So in order to answer that particular question, can they do that, you have to look at their customer base. And sometimes a company can have a great customer base, but they're not delivering their freight on time. They're not doing what the customer wants, and so they go with another carrier. And with Pride Transport, I did figure out that they have a pretty good customer base, but I think that it was not large enough or solid enough to even give a solo driver or even team drivers the mileage that they want. And to be honest, I was team driving with Pride Transport, and there were weeks where I only had 3,000 miles. And if you take a look at that, that's only about 1,500 miles per driver, and that's a very bad week. And so in going to talk to my dispatcher about that situation, I did figure out that they only really have one customer, one main customer that they go to for team drivers. And that customer, we were waiting 6 to 8 hours at a shipper. And I know that no truck driver wants to wait that long, even with detention pay. You start doing the math, you can make a lot more money within 6-8 hours driving on the road versus just waiting, getting the $15 an hour rate. So that's one of the first things that we look at in a company. Can they give us the mileage? And in my experience, again, I saw low weeks, and this is team driving. And as you know, team drivers should be getting a lot more miles, up to 5,000 or 6,000 miles per week. And I do understand that right now the freight market is slower, but this was reefer, this was food, something that has to be moved regardless. And so this was my personal experience with the mileage at Pride Transport. Apart from not getting the mileage that we wanted as team drivers, we were hearing other stories that solo drivers were experiencing some problems as well with dispatch. And that brings us to our next point. Communication, of course, is the most important thing in order for a truck driver to be heard, to get the miles that they want, to have a good week. And there were times where communication was very poor between myself and the dispatcher. And for instance, we had a dedicated load to drop, and we could have saved a lot of time if our dispatcher had told us that this was a drop and hook and it was over the weekend, so we had to wait till someone was there. And this caused a big gap in communication, causing us time and money. And no truck driver wants to lose mileage when it comes to a lack of communication. We can better understand as truck drivers that, yeah, we're going to lose mileage, and sometimes we're going to have slow times, and freight can slow down, and we may understand that as truck drivers. But if it was due to a lack of communication on our dispatcher's part, and it's costing us money, no, that's a different story. Added to this frustration, in my experience working for Pride Transport, we ran into a problem not getting home on time, and we were out close to a month. So I believe that that gave them plenty of time to give us the dates that we wanted. And we were being flexible. We were saying that we don't have to be here on this date exactly, but we do want, these days off because we're going to be out up to a month. And I believe that, you need that time as a truck driver to recover, to spend time with your family, to spend time with your partner, and so on. And so this was something that I experienced. Our dispatcher did not get us home on time, and they were accusing us of not putting in our home time correctly or on time, even though it was. And so it became an ethical issue. I'm not afraid to share this because I want other drivers to be aware, to be careful, to not find yourself in this situation because of lack of communication or because this is how the company does things. And we don't want to be in a situation where we are being disrespected, being told that we didn't do something, and we have the proof that we did through email, through the tablet system, putting in home time. And so it becomes a big mess. It becomes a he said, she said kind of thing. And that's not a good situation to be in because that doesn't build trust between you and the company. It doesn't get you home on time, and everybody just starts becoming frustrated and you're not happy. So keep in mind, this is what I experience. I'm not saying that you're going to experience this, but it comes down to communicating with your dispatcher, your needs, your what you're wanting, as far as home time, and to make sure that you set your boundary and don't let them step over you. Don't let them try to push a load on you and say that the load comes first, that customers comes first. I think that's a time when you need to go in and talk to your dispatcher. Hey, look, I understand that you're trying to do a job. I understand that you have customers that you need to satisfy on the company's part. But if you're going to push a load on me and make that the priority, then you're not really thinking about the driver. You're not really thinking about, what they want. You just have one agenda, and that is to get the load on time. Maybe you're getting a bonus for that. That's fine. There's a way to do things professionally and a way to keep your drivers happy, and that is simply by communicating and being honest. I can't get you home on these dates, but I can work this, and that's not what I experience at Pride Transport. What I experience is you're going to take this load. It doesn't matter if you put the request in on time from your home time. We're going to get this load delivered, and it doesn't matter if you're not going to get the days that you want. To be fair, I'm not saying that Pride Transport is not a good company, because you can find these things in every company. A lack of communication, them trying to push a load on you, your dispatcher not working with you correctly. These are issues that we find in the trucking industry, and that's inevitable that it's in every company. I'm sharing my personal experience, what I went through. Now, I said in a prior video that my orientation experience was a good one, that their equipment was well kept, the people were very friendly, and they took care of their things. When it came down to my over the road experience, it was a different situation. My dispatcher was a very kind person, but when it came down to the actual issues of getting home on time, that was neglected. When it came down to where communication mattered, that fell through the cracks and caused us, a lot of money that we could have made during that downtime. This is just simply giving you an honest review of my experience. Remember, Pride Transport has good equipment. They have friendly people. They have a streamlined orientation experience. However, it comes down to their customer base. Can they perform? Can they produce the results that they are advertising as far as their mileage? If you're getting under 2,000 miles a week, that's not good, because you can do better where companies do have the dedicated freight, they do have the dedicated customers, and they have the ability to give you the mileage that you want, even in slow times. So keep this in mind. This is just my personal experience. I'm sure that you may have experiences as well in other companies where your dispatcher was forcing you to take a load. I'm sure that you have experienced a low mileage week, and maybe you want to share your thoughts and comment that below in this video, and let us know what kind of experience you're having in the company that you're at. I'm curious as to what you might be going through when it comes to that. What I do know, what's most important for us, is that we have a dispatcher that understands and respects us and gets us home on time. I do understand that we want a company that has a good customer base where they can keep us moving and keep that gross revenue coming in every week. I know that's what we want as drivers. This was not the case in my experience with Pride Transport. Of course, every company is not perfect, but there's always room for improvement. And when you listen to the driver, what they're telling you, their grievances, then maybe a company can start changing their culture or dynamic. And pay is another thing. If they are advertising high pay, but you're not getting the mileage, then you're really not getting that pay. And that's another thing that I, experienced with Pride Transport. They were advertising a high pay, but in reality, they didn't have the customer base to produce on those results and give me the mileage I want to make that kind of pay. So make sure that you don't get pushed over by a dispatcher, or make sure that you don't fall into that trap where a company is advertising this, but they're not really delivering on those results. I hope this video was helpful. Again, if you want to share your experience, be sure to put those in the comments. Like this video, share this video, help others make a more informed decision, such as what we are talking about today. If you decide to go work for Pride Transport, and feel free to ask questions. I'll be honest and answer them in my experience or what you can expect. Be sure to watch this other video on my orientation experience if you do decide to work for Pride, and this will give you a better idea of that particular experience that I had at orientation in Salt Lake City. Don't forget to subscribe to Survivor News Truck Talk if you like videos like this and if you want to stay up to date. I also have a newsletter in the link below. Make sure you go there, sign up for the free email newsletter as I put out personal development content for our growth and for our learning.